Hello! Welcome back to WQLN PBS Homeroom. I'm Miss Debbie and I'm so excited to be back with you Smarties today. We have a really fun topic to talk about today, but the first fun thing I love talking about is you. And I love remembering our positive thoughts, our good thoughts about ourselves. Would you repeat after me? Say, I am smart. I am kind. I am loved. I am amazing. And I love to be me. You remember that always, kiddos. You are awesome. Well, today we're here to talk about a really fun topic. We're going to talk about farmers and farms. Now, a farm is an area of land, a big open area, and it's used to either grow crops or to raise animals. And it includes all the buildings on it. Today, we're going to learn also about a farmer. A farmer is the one who's in charge of the farm. He runs the farm. Do you know any farmers? Great, I do too. They are so important to us and our communities around us. Yes, definitely. So today, kiddos, we're going to learn about the type of farm that actually raises animals. Now, some farms raise only one kind of animal, and they focus on one animal. Other farms raise lots of different animals. Do you think you might be able to think about any animals that might be raised on a farm? You think? Shout them out. What do you think? What animals might we find if we were to go visit a farm? Good ideas. Did you think of maybe chickens? Or roosters and ducks? Those are farm animals. Those are animals that we might see on a farm. Yeah. Did you think of maybe goats or sheep? Those are more animals we might see if we were going to a farm. How many of you thought about a pig? I love pigs. Pigs are definitely an animal that we could see on a farm. I bet a lot of you Smarties thought about these next two animals that I'm thinking about. A horse and a cow. How many of you thought of horses and cows? Yeah. Where I live, we have a lot of farms around my area. And there's lots of these animals that I see when I'm driving around, either to work or just around town. I see lots of farm animals. They're animals that are usually kept in a barn or a shed of some sort outside of your house. Normally, we don't keep these kind of animals inside. Well, today I thought we could do something really fun. I thought we could actually go visit a farm, a real farm, and meet a farmer. Yeah. And I thought maybe we could be reporters. And maybe we could figure out about one of the animals that they raise on the farm. Maybe we could find out some information about that animal and we could come back here and write about it. Like we could write like a newspaper article and let other people know what we learned. That would be so much fun. Yeah. So I'm thinking about some questions that I might want to ask the farmer. And reporters sometimes have notebooks with them and they write down some questions that they want to ask. Because did you know that a reporter's job is to find out information and take that information and let other people know about it? Yes. Can you do that? Of course you can. Of course you can. We can be reporters. To do that, we need to be good listeners and we need to be able to think about some questions to ask our farmer and be able to listen when he tells us what the answers are. We can do that. So I'm wondering first what kind of animal might be at the farm. I won't tell you yet, but I'm going to show you a little hint. Can you think of some questions maybe we might ask the farmer when we're there? What are some questions we might want to know about some of his animals or what he does on the farm? Go ahead, what's a question you might have? Yeah, good one. Can you think of any other questions we might want to ask the farmer? Maybe about food for the animals? Yeah, or maybe why they raise the animals? Those are some good questions. I'm going to write those down, and when I get to the farm, I'm going to speak very clearly. I'm going to ask the farmer these good questions. Because to be reporters and to be good speakers, we have to speak clearly and be good listeners. And I know you can do it. All right, kiddos, I'm going to hop in my car and I'm going to drive down to the farm. Do you want to join me? I'm so excited. I'll meet you there. Hey, we made it to the farm. Thank you for joining us. We're here with Ryan. He's a farmer and we thought we'd ask him some questions. Thanks for taking the time to join us.
You're welcome.
Well, I think our mystery is solved. What kind of animals do you raise on your farm?
We raise cows, and this one's about a month old. And it's gonna grow up and we're gonna milk it, just like we saw earlier.
What kind of food do you feed the cows?
So when they're little like this, they eat milk, just like babies. And they eat milk for about 2 months. And after that, they eat grain and hay.
Wow. How many times, we were wondering, how many times you have to feed them?
We feed them twice a day, morning and evening.
And what about milking them? How many times do they have to get milked?
They also get milked twice a day. Yep.
How old will they be before you can start milking them?
They have to be almost 2 years old before we can start milking.
Oh my word. And what do they just roam around here for the first couple of years and outside, or what do these babies do?
Yep, they just eat and play and have fun and grow up.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, I think those were all the questions that we had about these little guys and girls, and this one's trying to get my leg. Oh my gosh, you're adorable. Well, kiddos, can we say thanks to Farmer Ryan? Thanks, Farmer Ryan.
You're welcome. So here's one of the cows milking. They get milked twice a day, once in the morning and once in the evening. Before they get milked, they get cleaned off, and then the milker goes on them. And when it's done, it comes off all by itself. This is what the milking cows eat. It's chopped up corn and hay. You can see that they like it.
He's ready to go. Ryan says that these cows are going to have babies soon, like the little babies we just saw. This is a cow that was born this morning. Did you hear it? This is called a calf. Well, I hope you enjoyed our visit to the farm. I know I did. Let's go ahead and head back to my house now, and we can write down all the things we learned, just like a real reporter. Let's go. Welcome back to my house. Wasn't that awesome at the farm? That was so wonderful of the farmer to show us around and to show us the animals. And you probably guessed it by looking at my shirt earlier. We saw some cows. Oh, I enjoyed my time at the farm. I hope you did too. Okay, I have my reporter's notebook. So I'm going to take this information and I'm going to make a story about it on my board here. So I'm looking at the questions that I asked the farmer. I wrote the answers down afterwards. One of the questions I asked was, what kind of animals do they raise? And what kind of animals do they raise on the farm we saw? Cows. Good job, Smarties. Awesome. So one thing you kiddos can do is you could draw a picture of a cow. Now, Miss Debbie is not a super good artist at all, and as long as I try my best, I'm okay with that. So the same thing for you. So a lot of you aren't ready to write your stories yet, but you sure can draw your pictures. So if I was thinking about a cow, I could look at a picture of a cow that I have here. I could look at a picture of a cow from one of the books I have, or I could use my memory and think about the cows that we saw on the farm. I also see a little cow right here. So there's lots of places we can look to get information to help us draw. Okay, so I'm thinking about the cow, and he had a big, or she had a big, kind of a, almost like a squarish shaped nose. So Miss Debbie's going to go ahead and draw the square shaped nose. And 2 nose holes, just like you and I. And then the cow's head was kind of round. Now the cows that we saw didn't have any horns, but these cows had ears. And I think they look something like this. And then they had their eyes. 2 eyes, just like us. 1, 2. And then, let's see. I'm gonna draw their body. It was round. How many legs did the cows have? 4 legs. They had 2 legs in front with hooves on the back or on the bottom, and 2 legs in the back with their hooves. And I remember that Ryan was showing us that they had udders that they gave the milk from. Yeah. And the cows had a tail. We have a swooshy tail here like that. Now most of the cows had spots on them. So I'm going to draw some spots. And the cows that we saw today, the big cows, were white and black. Some of the bigger cows and some of the baby cows were brownish too. So you could draw a couple different kinds of cow colors or designs, I guess you'd say, maybe on your cow. So there is part of my story, is my cow. You could have an adult help you write the story. They could actually write it for you, or they could help you. So if I was thinking about that cow, I might say, we saw cows. Pretty simple sentence, huh? That thought in your head is what we write on paper. So I might say, we saw cows. Yeah. I'm going to check my writer's notebook, my reporter's notebook. And then the next thing I asked was, why did they raise cows? Do you remember why they raised cows? What did they give? Milk. Good job. Now, Miss Debbie thinks about milk in a jug. This is how we get our milk at our house. We have a jug like this. And it's a plastic container like that. And then there's a handle on it. So there's my lid. And then it usually has a sticker on it telling me what kind of milk it is. So I said we saw cows, and we learned that cows give milk. Yep. So you can have an adult help you write, cows give milk. So an adult can help you write that. Yeah. I'm going to check my reporter's notebook. The next thing we asked them was, how often do they milk the cows? Do you remember how many times a day the cows had to be milked? Twice. You're right. I remember, Smarties. We were learning about numbers another time with some of me and some of the other teachers. Or with me and some of the other teachers. Can we redo that little part? And I remember, Smarties, we were learning about numbers. You learned with me and some of our other teachers. I bet you remember how to make the number 2. So Miss Debbie's gonna come down here at the bottom of my paper. I'm almost out of room, but I think I can make it fit. I'm gonna write the number 2, just like that. And that's going to help me remember that cows get milked twice a day. Yes, and you can have an adult write that sentence for you too. Cows get milked twice a day. Yeah. The last thing I remember learning, and if I check my notebook, that's right, we were asking, what did cows eat? And the farmer even showed us in his hands. Do you remember he was feeding them? Do you remember what he was eating? Yeah, he was eating some hay and some grain. Now, hay and grain, they looked kind of a yellowish and a brownish to me. So I'm gonna go ahead and get my yellow crayon, and it just kind of looked like this. You might not be able to see the yellow too good, but I'm just thinking about what hay looks like. And most of us know what hay looks like. And then mixed in with the hay was some grains. So that was kind of a brownish looking. So while you could be drawing the hay, your adult could be writing cows eat hay and grain. So there's a super great way to share some information that you learned to be able to share it with someone else. I love it. Thank you for being reporters with me today. Well, are you ready for craft time? I am. I love craft time. Today we're going to make a cow hand puppet. So you could even use this puppet to tell about your story. Wouldn't that be fun? All right, let me show you what we need for our craft today. We need scissors for an adult to use. We need some white felt, some black felt, some pink felt, and I have some wiggly eyes and some glue. Are you ready? Well, here we are with all of our craft supplies to make our cow hand puppet. So what you want to do is hold your hand nice and together at first, and then you're going to go ahead and open up that pinky so you have your hand flat on the felt with your pinky sticking out. That's going to be one of the cow's ears. So we're going to trace my hand. I'm going to leave some space so my hand can move around. So there's one of the cow's ears. We're going to make a big circle shape for the head, and I'm going to try to switch my hands and put my pinky out again and trace around my pinky for the other cow ear. Oh, I think that'll look great. And then just come straight down so that the puppet can fit over your hand a little bit. So this is kind of what mine looks like. Not the best, but I tried. Now you're going to have an adult cut it out for you. You want to make sure that you're being safe. So I'm going to cut out around the cow's ear. Cut out around his head. And while an adult's cutting this out, you could be thinking what else we need to make this look like a cow. Most of the cows that we saw today were white with what color spots? Black. They were. So I'm going to make some black spots on my cow. Now some cows are all black, some cows are brown, and a lot of them that I did see, I'm not sure if you saw all of them that I did, but a lot of those cows also had white with just a little bit of black spots. So you can make your cow look any way you want. I'm going to go ahead and use my black felt, and I'm going to be cutting out some spots to add to the cow. So those spots weren't any kind of a specific shape, so I'm not even going to trace any shapes. I'm just going to cut out some shapes that almost look like little clouds to me. So we'll cut out different kinds of shapes, however many you want an adult to cut out. Maybe you could make a pattern of what you were thinking about, what it might look like. I think I'm just gonna maybe do one more, maybe a skinnier, longer one, because those cows were so unique. Everyone looked different to me. What do you think? You think so? So I think that'll be good for my cow spots. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put a little bit of glue around the edge of the puppet, and this will seal it closed. Now, if you have someone who could sew your puppet for you, that would be fine too. But in case you can't see what all I'm doing, it's flat, I'm adding glue. I'll take that off, then I'll add it in a minute. Adding glue all around the edges of the pattern. And this will keep the top parts together. Now you don't want to glue the bottom edge of it because that's where your hand's going to go in. So I put glue all around all the edges except the bottom, and then I'm putting my other piece of felt down on top of it. Once this dries, I'll be able to use it as a puppet. So then I have my black spots for my cow. I'll put some glue on there and put it on my felt. The neat thing about felt is this glue is gonna glue pretty quickly, or it's gonna dry pretty quickly. Those pieces will stick right to it. Put that one up here. I'll be able to hold it up and they won't even fall off, I hope. So there's part of the cow. Now remember, the cow had that pink nose. I want to add the pink nose. And it kind of reminded Miss Debbie of a square, but instead of being straight on the edges, the cow had little curved edges around his nose. It's kind of how I look at it. But it doesn't mean that's the only way it can be done. You think about what you saw. Or again, you could look at a picture, you could look at a book, and you could make your cow that way. So make sure to have an adult there cutting out your shapes for you. I'm gonna go ahead and put the cow's nose on here. You could do some good gluing while your family or your adult is doing the cutting out. You could be in charge of the gluing. Now the little cow, all the cows that we saw, had 2 nose holes, just like you and I. So I need to make sure to add those 2 little nose holes to my nose. So I'm gonna put 2 dots of glue, 1, 2. I'm gonna put the little holes there. Now our little cow can breathe. What are we missing up here? His eyes, yep. 2 dots for the eyes. And I'll put my eyes right on them. And there is a simple way that you can do a quick pattern for a cow. And then when it dries, you can put your hand inside it and use it as a little puppet. Won't that be cute? And you could tell your story that you saw a cow, and cows give milk, and cows get milked twice a day, and they love to eat oats and hay. All right, kiddos. Last but not least today, are you ready for our story time? Well, I have a story today called Click, Clack, Moo, Cows That Type. And I brought my little puppet here because I like to be able to read with something next to me. And you know what I remembered I forgot? The ears. When I shared my cow with you, I forgot to show the ears and add the ears to it. So don't forget to add ears to your little hand puppet. Okay, Click, Clack, Moo, Cows That Type. In this story, the cows are upset at Farmer. The farmer has a problem because the cows are typing. Yes, and all he hears is click, clack, moo, click, clack, moo, Click, clack, moo. He hears the clicking of the typewriter. Well, first he couldn't believe his ears. Is that possible? Cows that type? Click, clack, moo. Click, clack, moo. Click, clack, moo. Then he couldn't believe his eyes. He saw a note on the barn door. It said, "Dear Farmer Brown, the barn is very cold at night. We'd like some electric blankets. Sincerely, the cows." It was bad enough the cows had found the old typewriter in that barn. Now they wanted electric blankets? No way, said Farmer Brown. No electric blankets. The cows went on strike. That meant they weren't going to give any more milk. It says, "Sorry, we're closed. No milk today." I wonder what Farmer Ryan would do if his cows went on strike. Hopefully they don't. "No milk today," cried Farmer Brown. In the background, he heard the cows busy at work. Click, clack, moo. The next day, he got another note. "Dear Farmer Brown, the hens are cold too. They'd like electric blankets. Sincerely, the cows." Oh my goodness, this is crazy. The cows were growing impatient with the farmer. They left a new note on the barn door. Closed. No milk. No eggs. "No eggs!" cried Farmer Brown. In the background, he heard them click, clack, moo, click, clack, moo, clickety, clack, moo. Look at these cows. Isn't that silly? Cows that type, hens on strike. Whoever heard of such a thing? Farmer Brown was furious. He got out his own typewriter and he typed him a letter. He said, "There will be no electric blankets. You are cows and hens, and I demand milk and eggs." Let's see. Duck brought the note to the cows. And look, it's nighttime, and the cows are thinking about it. The cows held an emergency meeting. They all gathered around, but none of them could understand moo. That means they couldn't really talk to each other. All night long, Farmer Brown waited for an answer. Well, Duck knocked on the door early that morning with a note. "Dear Farmer Brown, we will exchange our typewriter for electric blankets. Leave them outside the barn door, and we will send Duck over with the typewriter." So the cows are saying they'll give up the typewriter. They'll stop writing notes if they get blankets for the cows and the hens. Well, Farmer Brown decided it was a good deal, so he gave the electric blankets to the cows and the hens. But then the next morning, there was another note. "Dear Farmer Brown, the pond is quite boring. We'd like a diving board. Sincerely, the ducks." Click, clack, quack. And look what happens. The ducks get a diving board. Well, kiddos and families, if you enjoyed today's crafts and story, you can find everything that we did on WQLN.org on our Learning at Home page. And my friends, this is it for today. Thank you for joining me on this farm-tastic adventure. I had such a good time with you. Until next time, keep reading, keep learning, and keep watching WQLN PBS, where learning is brought to life.